Hi campers, hope you're all doing well. What a lovely day it is. It's Friday, I'm off work and I'm up the woods for a bimble and a spot of lunch. So I've stopped in a Hazel Coppice here, just gathered a few bits of dead standing hazel so I can have a little fire in my firebox, and one green piece as well to make a cooking rig for some bread I want to make. Yeah, I think I've got some rain coming a little bit later around lunchtime, so I'll get a tarp up soon when I get to my spot. But yeah, just thought I'd say hello and I'll bring you along. Bye for now. Have to admire the resilience of these fallen beech trees all around us here. These trees fell way back in the Great Storm of 1987, and but yet they live on. They thrive, albeit in a horizontal fashion. Lovely to see. Look at the size of that root ball. It's got to be about 10 or 12 feet across. Humongous. Anyway, onwards. This'll do. Woods are looking lovely at the moment. This is one of my regular haunts. Bluebells are scattered about. That'll do. Got that just the right height there. I always find myself faffing about what sort of height to put the ridge line, but generally speaking I find sort of waist belly height for a poncho works quite well in this configuration. So I can set up in here now, and if it chucks it down later, I've got plenty of space to take cover. So, happy days. Not a bad view to look out to either, is it? One of the things I'm going to try and do with the firebox today, folks, is I want to cook some bannock bread. So I've got the grill here with me, which I've just slid onto here. I've seen Steve, the guy that runs firebox stoves, do this on one of his YouTube videos where he cooks a bit of meat on the side of the fire on the grill like this. And I think that will work really well for bannock bread as well. So I'll mix up my dough and I'll put that there with the fire there, and it will just radiate the heat across and cook quite nicely, I think. So we'll see how it goes later. So I've got all my wood prepped there now, and then to ignite the fire I've got a bit of birch bark that I collected a few days ago. So I'm going to scrape that up and light it up. Just nicked myself. Always do that. Always carry first aid kit, people. These finger plasters are really good because they've got one end longer than the other, so they Right then, folks, let's do this. Hot. I've got the kettle on now, folks, and we've got a bit of rain inbound. You can hear it coming down. So I've got all my wood underneath the shelter. It's all stashed away. I've got a larger part over there. That's me sorted now. I'm happy as Larry. So weather's setting a little bit. A lot of the rain isn't quite coming through the canopy, but I'm getting the odd drip and splatter of rain. But all is good underneath the tarp, so happy days. Got myself a cup of tea on the go now, just brewing. Lovely to be out. Really enjoying this firebox. This is fairly new to me. I bought it second hand off of Dean. Wander Essex on Instagram. Really like it, really nice bit of kit. Burns the wood really nicely. You can have like a proper fire in that. So I need to come clean to you about something, folks. I like to maintain some honesty and integrity about this YouTube channel. So I should tell you that I'm supposed to be on a bushcraft course at the minute down at Wilderness Survival School in Wiltshire. In fact, today would be the closing day. I'll probably be walking back to the car right now, but I'm not there. I'm here. Unfortunately, I bailed out of it halfway through, and there's a couple of reasons for that, which I'll come on to a little later on. But I did film a bit of footage. First of all, I filmed a bit of a video of the kit that I was taking on this course, and I'll probably overlay that while I'm talking now if I can. And it was the Living Wild course that Joe runs. It's a 4-day course down at his woods. It's all about going back to basics in bushcraft, you know, living wild in the woods, building your own shelters, learning primitive ways of living, and sort of living like that throughout the week essentially. And you can see in the kit that I've packed that it was very minimal, to say the least. I did also, on top of what you'll just have seen there, I did also pack some backup items in the car, such as a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad and a tarp and what have you, but they stayed in the car. They were there for sort of backup reasons. But yeah, I bailed halfway through, and what I'll do is I'll take you back in time to that footage now, from the beginning of that course until the point at which I bailed, and then I'll bring you back. So enjoy.
Yeah. Really fun. Yeah. Well, I don't do them yeah. And the ends going into the ground, rather than sort of hammering them into the ground, it's a case of looking where they need to go, getting a pointy stick and just digging out a socket from the ground, and then it just sits into it, and then the legs won't kick out. So that now.
Hi campers, hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video, and this time I'm out on a course, a Living Wild course at the Wilderness Survival School, which is run by Joe O'Leary down in Wiltshire. I'm filming this intro after I've done loads of filming already, but I should probably put this in at the beginning. But I'm a big sweaty mess at the moment because I'm midway through building a shelter, which you'll see shortly. But yeah, just wanted to film a quick intro, say hello, and tell you what's going on. So I'm getting towards the end of day one now, filming this intro, and we've had a great day so far. We've been talking about shelter building, a bit of safety, sort of knife safety briefing. Had a lovely lunch prepared by Joe and I can't remember his name. His able assistant. I'll remember his name later on. Sorry about that. Lovely soup for lunch with some bread. Got deer for dinner. And yeah, building we're using minimal kit for this camp, so I should have already put a video up of the kit that I'm taking on this video. I've added 1 or 2 backup items to that, just because the forecast is pretty shocking. But through the week we're going to be doing loads of stuff. Lots of work on fire prep, bow drill, fire lighting method. This is one of the things we're doing. We're going to be learning about water filtration, using Millbank's bags to sort of help get some of the nasties out of the water that you collect when you're out and about, from rivers and streams and puddles and such like, and then how you can sort of process that water to make it good to drink. We're doing lots of work with food, foraging, making bread, and all of this is building up to a challenge on Thursday. Today's Monday, I'm here till Friday, So I've got a nice good 4 nights out in the woods, and really looking forward to it. And then all of the work we're doing up until Thursday morning will culminate in a sort of final challenge where we're going to put all of the skills that we've got into practice. Will be left to our own devices in the shelters that we've made. So there's quite a few of us on this course. There's about 12 or 13 of us, and yeah, we'll be back to our shelters, put all them skills into practice, given some basic rations which we'll have to earn, I think, by making some kind of trap, which is another thing that we'll learn during the course. Yeah, I'll bring you along through the course, keep you posted and updated as and when I can talk to you, and then pop in a few clips here and there of what we're getting up to. So hope you enjoy the video, and I'll bring you back soon. Look at all them bluebells, isn't it lovely? Hi campers. So got 3 hours to build a shelter for the night. Not allowed to use that one. That was the demo shelter, but everyone's sort of wandered off now and gone looking for a spot to build the shelter. It's a vast woodland, and straight away I've just sort of locked onto this spot here, and I'll put a ridge pole, and I'm going to do a lean-to with it sort of coming down to the ground here and fire out front. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Could be subject to change, we'll see, but first things first, I'm just going to gather some materials now. The other reason I like this spot is because I've got tons of leaf mulch here and matter that I can scrape up for the thatching and the bed. So got to crack on now and get moving. So I'll bring you back later. Right, so progress is going well. So just covering the back of the shelter with the sort of rafters now. Getting a bit of a sweat on, glasses are steaming up, but it's only been 20 minutes, so making good progress. A few more sticks, and then I'll be ready to put some mulch or leaf debris on and thatch it, and that's going to be where it gets even tougher, I think. So I'll bring you back in a bit. Apologise for the lack of filming though, but I really need to prioritise the shelter for the time being, so I'll bring you back in a bit. Look at all that lovely mulch. I'm using my jacket to gather the material. This is why I brought the military surplus coat with me. Whoa. So, making good progress, guys. I spent up 4:30 now, so this is an hour and a half into the build. Sweating my arse off, been working like a Trojan, but I'm happy with how it's going. The framework's up. I've got a good build up of debris now on the roof, and no major holes to worry about. There's a bit over there that I can see through, but that's not where I'm going to be sleeping, so I'm okay with that. As you can see, also I've started putting leaf mulch in for a mattress. Could do a bit more, I think, but I might call it at that for now. Sorry, just stopped filming then because some people came walking past on the trail, because the woodland is absolutely carpeted with bluebells at the moment. I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely stunning. And being a bank holiday Monday today, the whole world and their wife and their dog are out on the walk, enjoying the bluebells. but it should be quieter tomorrow because everyone's will be back at work. But yeah, I'm pleased with progress in that though. The mattresses should be comfortable. If I upload this as I plan, you should already have seen a video of me showing the kit for this course, and since then I looked at the weather forecast, and the weather forecast for this week is pretty atrocious. I'm surprised it's not raining now actually. And on seeing that, I've put 1 or 2 extra items in my bag, backup items. One thing is a ground sheet, and the other thing is my Gore-Tex bivy bag. And I might use them tonight just for ground cover. Back at the car, which is, I don't know, about 1.5 miles away, I've got a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad, but I don't intend to use them. They're going to stay in the car, but the Gore-Tex bivy bag might come out, might make an appearance. And the ground sheet, I might put that on top as well, but we'll see. I have also packed the tarp as a backup. Again, I don't intend to use it, but if it chucks it down tonight and that ain't keeping the rain off, which it may or may not, I'm not 100% sure, then I can throw a tarp up somehow, or just throw the tarp over the back of the shelter, nice and simple. So yeah, that's where I am at the minute. I think I'm happy with progress. We've got a 6 o'clock deadline to go back to the parachute. We're going to start prepping dinner and doing a bit of deer prep. So it's 25 to 5 now. I'm going to carry on gathering leaf litter and debris to go on the roof. I'm going to leave the mattress as it is. I'm going to carry on until 5 o'clock, so that gives me 25 minutes to get more debris in. And then from 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock, I'm going to concentrate on gathering firewood. So I'm going to have a fire out front here tonight, which should keep me nice and warm. So I'll keep you posted. Well folks, there we are. I'm calling that done, albeit with a caveat that is done for now. Firewood prepped there. I don't think that's enough to get me through tonight. Got a base laid down there, fine twigs there and some split ash there to get everything going. But I'm calling it there because it's 10 to 6 and I'm knackered. I need a rest. Steal a quiet moment at base camp before everyone returns. Everyone's still away, spread around the woodland building up their shelters. Some people are teamed up, I think, and working together. Others are sort of like me, on their own, doing their own thing. But yeah, this is base camp. It's got a nice parachute shelter. It's lovely and warm and dry in there, and it's just starting to rain. So how's that for a spot of luck? Got the shelter done, wood collection done, and I need to stop sweating now and have a brew. And the good thing about coming to Joe's woodland is that there's always a kettle on, and he lays on tea and coffee as well, so yes, what more can you want? Quick t-shirt change. Shout out to the Scarecrows as well. Went to see them perform the other weekend at the local sort of festival. And what a cracking band as well. Check them out if you like a bit of bluegrass, and people that play in dressed up as scarecrows, then the Scarecrows is the band for you. And shout out to Martin This is the harmonica player who I know watches some of my videos, so hope you're keeping well. And I promised Martin that I would wear this t-shirt on my next camp out, so here we go. So, just showed you the parachute there. And here we have the kitchen, all stocked up. Tea and coffee on tap. Lovely. Morning, folks. Hands up who has just had their arse handed to them by Mother Nature. Here I am in the car, and I spent the night here too. I'll explain more in a bit. Good morning, campers. Just got myself sorted out and dressed, and making my way back up to camp. But yeah, it's fair to say I haven't had the best start to this course. But one of the previous clips I put on just before, at the end of yesterday, was the rain we had, and from about 6 PM until gone midnight, it absolutely chucked it down consistently, non-stop. It was horrendous, and it exposed two significant failings on my behalf. Number one, my shelter was actually holding up very, very well to the weather. Inside was dry, but my shelter was also very, very small inside. There was literally enough space for me to sort of bed down in, and that was about it. No sort of living space whatsoever, really. So when it came to getting ready for bed, getting my admin sorted, I was exposed to that rain, and yeah, I was getting wet, getting soaked. And I'd already soaked at that point anyway, having spent a good deal of time building the shelter, because even though it wasn't raining when I was building the shelter, it was wet everywhere else on the ground. My feet were sopping wet, socks was freezing wet. Walking with a limp at the moment because I've clearly overdone it a bit in that 3-hour build yesterday. So yeah, the shelter was good but not great, was my verdict on that. And I just didn't feel very comfortable sleeping in there last night with the weather being soaking wet. Yeah, it just wasn't right for me. So I've got to make some changes to that today, and the simple change I'm going to make is put my tarp out to create a bit of admin space out front. That's what I need to do, which I know goes against the concept of living wild, using what nature provides, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And got to hold my hand up and say, yeah, I ballsed it up. Didn't build the ideal shelter, but I maintain that I built the best I could in the 2 hours that I allowed myself to build a shelter, and I'm proud that it's weatherproof, just not me proof. And the second sort of issue that yesterday exposed for me really was that I was woefully underprepared for the weather. I'm walking back up to camp now with wet boots, damp socks still. I had my socks out in my sleeping bag with me last night, and the insoles of my boots as well, so they're dried out somewhat from yesterday, but certainly not dry. They're still damp. And now, in the kit video you watched, I sort of presented how I want to challenge myself using the minimal kit on the kit list that Joe provided. But it's exposed me, I think, really, because probably demonstrates I'm not quite ready for that yet. Got a lot to learn. So I'm returning to camp now with my sleeping bag to use with my bivvy bag, and I've got a sleeping pad as well, and that should mean that I can enjoy a more comfortable couple of nights under my shelter still, which I'm going to adapt and enhance over the coming days, and yeah, enjoy the rest of this course. I'm getting a sweat on already, right? Got a bit of a hill here, but yeah, lovely woodland. Can't say it was all that great sleeping in the car, but I was able to sort of spread myself out a bit, get bits out to dry, so it was good in that respect, and I still got a few hours sleep. I think that sleep was by virtue of the fact that I was knackered. So yeah, I promise you nothing but integrity with my videos, and that's it. I fucked up, and now I've got to make things better. So I'll bring you back in a bit. There. So there's my shelter now. I've just put my tarp out in a sort of plough point configuration. Still got the shelter doing a lot of work. Need to put some more debris there, I think. Yeah. But it stayed dry under there, so the shelter's in reasonably good shape, I think. I'm going to sleep across there now. If I need to have a fire, I can have one out the front here. But that's certainly added a lot more living space in there now, so that I can actually do some personal admin. Before, I literally could just crawl in there and that was it, really. So I'm happy with that option, and I might move some of that debris out onto the roof later. We'll see.
Wine one, I think Joe said last time, hold your hands, drink the tide.
Yeah, it's a general rule for sort of grilling. Makes water taste a little bit more interesting. So if you like the smell, you probably would like the flavour of this. But you can, because it's sort of minty, you can also use it as a herb. You know, you could put a little bit of this in your stew, just to add a little bit of flavour. So it's one to try and then see what you think of it. If you don't mind the flavour, then obviously you can use it, yeah, food, but yeah, add it to the stew as well. And it's pretty common, it grows everywhere. There are a few other plants that potentially have a similar shape, that little hoop-shaped leaf, but they will smell different. So if you're not sure, then feel the stem, it's a square stem. It probably looks like a plant that you might well have in your garden that we'll see later on, called goosegrass or cleavers. It's in the same family, but goosegrass or cleavers grows quite big, and it's also quite a straggly plant, whereas this is quite a small little upright plant, so it always just sort of grows upright like that. It's called sweet woodruff. The name comes because it grows in woodlands, and these little whirl of leaves look like an old
white flower.
and this is it in flower. The other name for it is stargrass, because when it's quite invasive, if it's in the right habitat, it likes chalky soil, and sometimes it can sort of carpet whole areas of woodland, and then when it flowers they look like little stars in the grass, so hence the name. Now if you pick it fresh, it doesn't actually smell of much at all. It might have a very mild little smell if you crush.
So Joe's given us an hour of tinkering time with our shelter today. So where are we now? 4:15, and just coming to the end of that hour. And I've put a little side extension on the shelter. Don't tell the council though, because I ain't got planning permission. But just to sort of enlarge and give me a bit more cover in that sort of head end area there. Sort of felt quite exposed when I laid in that last night. And then otherwise I've just got firewood gathered, trying to keep it under the tarp here. All the fine sort of twiggy stuff is over there. Another fire out here, I guess. But yeah, looking good.
Fantastic. It's got a bit of gaffer tape on as well. I can use the masking tape as a tinder. You rip into thin bits and joint it. So I've got an ignition method in the top pocket of my rucksack in a waterproof bag.
So there you have it, folks. I found it really tough, I won't lie. You'd have seen in some of those clips there that the weather was absolutely atrocious. It was biblical at points. Some of the worst weather some of the worst weather I've ever experienced while out camping, and that made life exceptionally hard. So the reasons why I sort of bailed out of the course, I think are twofold. When I don't think, I know. Reason one, or excuse one, call it what you will, was physically I was shot. On day one we had 3 hours to build our shelter to live out of, and I know that generally speaking it takes a lot longer than that to get a decent shelter built. And so from that moment, I think that was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we started building the shelter. I was running around like a headless chicken. I was like a man possessed getting this shelter up. And you'll see in the shelter that I built was a nice sort of lean-to, and it worked really well. It was a good shelter. It was very, very small, however, and that was the problem with it. There wasn't no living space for me really, and that became a problem with the weather because it was so wet. But in building that shelter so quickly, and I think I was one of the only ones to get an actual complete shelter that was also weatherproof in the sort of 3 hour time frame that we had. I was quite pleased about that, but I paid the price for it later in the day and the next day as well, because I woke up and I could barely walk. My ankles were blown to pieces. I was swollen and bruised, and I was in quite a bit of pain. And even at that point I was starting to have some pretty dark thoughts, and my head was in a bad place. And so that rolls me on to the second issue really that led to me bailing out of it, and that was mental, my mental sort of well-being, if you will. So yeah, mentally I found it really, really tough. I wasn't enjoying the course. The weather was beating me up in quite spectacular fashion. I was soaked through to my skin. My feet were sopping wet pretty much the entire time I was there, because even when it wasn't raining, the woodland ground was soaking wet. My socks were soaked, my feet were like getting trenched for like blisters, and they were all pruned up. I did treat them in the night, and I took my socks off into my sleeping bag to dry them off, and the insoles of my boots I took out as well to dry them out inside my sleeping bag, and that worked for to a point, but within half hour of being out and about the next day I was soaked again. So all of these issues kind of beat me up mentally as well as physically, and I just wasn't enjoying it, to be frank. I wasn't enjoying it. I knew it was going to be a tough course, and I was prepared for that, and the long sort of days of work that we were going to have to put in, and I was proud of what I'd achieved down there, and I know that I did very well at what I did do. But I've mentioned previously in one of my videos that I got diagnosed with ADHD and sort of autistic traits a few months back now, and what I experienced earlier in the course this week was that I usually go to the woodland as a happy place, as a sanctuary to escape a lot of the issues that bother me through the week in my normal course of work and life. You know, it's a place of sort of peace and quiet and serenity where I can be here, listen to nature, enjoy myself, escape a lot of issues. And when I was on this course, my head was going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, worrying about anything and everything that I had to get done and had to do. Worrying about my shelter, worrying about how I was going to cook my food on the second night, how I was going to light the fire in the biblically wet conditions. I had absolutely no confidence that I could do anything, because, and that is another issue that you experience with ADHD. You have absolutely no belief in yourself, no self-confidence, and that's me to a T, I'm afraid. I found all of that very hard, and I had a bit of an epiphany whilst I was sitting there in the evening, kind of not wanting to proceed. I was sitting there watching the birds, a chaffinch sort of jump around a branch of a tree, and I was just sort of thinking, I was watching that bird fly around, and I realised that's what I enjoy doing when I come out here. I enjoy coming out, doing a bit of this, sitting down, relaxing, meditating if you will, listening to nature, taking in everything, and I just realised, what on earth am I doing here? Why am I putting myself through this? Why am I bringing all of those stresses and anxieties that I try to escape into what I consider to be my sort of place of sanctitude? And it's at that kind of point where I thought, you know what, I'm done, I've had enough. And I went off and had a word with Joe about it, and I felt a bit bad about bailing out of the course. Not least because I'd spent an awful lot of money on going to the course, but I didn't want to let the others down, and I felt like I was. And it wasn't a happy moment, to be honest with you. But Joe understood, he got it, he knew that the conditions were tough, and I thank Joe for his support during that time. And a few days later I sit here now, and I'm content that I made the right choice. I'm happy. I'm out here now, relaxed. I have greater clarity now about why it is that I come out to the woods. You know, what I want to do when I come out to the woods. I know now that I'm not a survivalist person. I don't like to come out to the woods to make myself uncomfortable. I want to come out here and I want to smooth it, live a comfortable life, using the kit that I've got, enhancing that by using what nature can provide as well, using the sort of skills that you pick up along sort of this sort of bushcraft journey. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think there's a lot more to it than that I've probably not been able to convey properly in my explanation. But yeah, I just want to put it out there really. I'll share that footage with you. I'm not proud of it, but I'm content with the decision that I made, and I think it was the right one for me. But I'd hope to get back down to Joe's one day for one of his many other courses that he does. He does a lot of really good crafting courses that interest me, so yeah, I might get back down for that in due course. But I'm going to take a back seat now and lick my wounds for a bit and just focus on what I enjoy doing when I'm out here and being a bit more selfish. Lessons learnt, I think, there really. But there were also some real highlights that I enjoyed on the course. I learnt a lot about the foraging. We went on a really long 2.5 mile foraging walk around the woodland there. I learnt so much about all the different plants that you can sort of identify and you can make decent teas out of, and some nice wild edibles for salads and such like that. I really enjoyed that. That's something that I might sort of explore a bit more in the future. Learn how to make withies out of hazel sticks. We started to make a frame for cooking a fish over a fire and panassing a trout. I didn't get to do that because that was the point at which I bailed, but I'm gonna revisit that at a later camp and try cooking a salmon or something over the fire. I think that would be really good fun. And I'm really proud of myself that I built my first ever shelter in the woods, and it was a success. It was weatherproof. It was keeping out some pretty epic rain. It was keeping me dry underneath it, and because it was so small, it was actually keeping me warm as well. It was retaining a lot of heat inside even without a fire, and I was very impressed at that. It's just it didn't have any living space. That was the only thing that let it down really. But hey ho, is what it is. But we cooked up some lovely venison down there around the fire. That was probably the best venison I've ever eaten. Really enjoyed that. Learned a lot about sort of lighting fires in the wet conditions. Joe did a good demo there, and even Joe struggled getting the fire underneath the sort of the parachute canopy that they had as a group shelter there. So yeah, that was interesting to see how that went. But yeah, learnt lots on the course. Would I do another survivally sort of course again? At the moment, my answer to that would be no. But who knows, in a couple of years or so, maybe 3 years, my outlook might change again. But I can't really see myself going back to that sort of way, I'm afraid. I'm going to focus on wild camping, crafting, and just enjoying nature as it is. So yeah, that's my explanation. But be honest with me in my comments. Do you think I tussed out? Do you think I was foolish? I don't know. I'll be interested to hear. But either way, I'm not really that fussed. I'm happy with what I did, and yeah, it is where it is. And my ankle was still killing me now. The day that I got home that morning, I could barely walk. I was hobbling around the house like a cripple, and there's no way I would have been able to continue doing some of the other elements of that course. I would have really struggled even more. Right, that's enough of me waffling. I'm going to get some dough mixed up for the bannock bread, I think. Got the dough mixed up there. I've got a bit on this cooking rig there that I've made up, and then a bit on the grill there off to the side of the fire. I think it's going to cook slowly, but I've got plenty of time till lunchtime, so that should go quite well. Still raining, folks. Another bit of bread's cooking along nicely there. I've got me a bit that I had on the side of the grill, which I've eaten a bit of already, but that's cooked up lovely. It cooked partially on the side, and then I put the grill on the top of the fire once it died down a bit, just to finish it off, because it was taking for ages, but lovely. I'm going to have that with a bit of chili con carne, camping classic. Nice bit of chili. The those tins of chili ain't actually that bad, you know. Bit of bannock. Lovely stuff. Right folks, well, enjoyed lunch, that was lovely. Just been chilling in front of the fire now, having another cup of tea. I'm probably going to pack up shortly and take a slow walk back to the car. Just came out here to have a bit of a chill really and get my head into gear. Yeah, I'm going to let that fire burn down now and then I'll disperse with the ash. So I'll bring you back in a bit. There we go then folks, cleared the ash away, cleared my rubbish away, just left the dry patch there, so put that over a bit. That's better. So yeah, just got to load up the rucksack and head back to the car. So hopefully that was alright. Let me know what you think in the comments. This Bimble was partly a bit of a way of bookending the footage that I captured on the course and a bit of an explanation as to why I bailed out. Yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. But doubtless I will be back out again very soon for another camp, and I'll bring you along then. Just bye for now.